Hello, good morning everybody. I hope you are well. It is Wednesday, it's the 23rd of October 2024, unless of course you're watching me back and then I don't know where you are or when you're watching, but I hope you're well. I'm going to make some little bracelets with you today. Now, a little while ago, quite some time ago now, we did hyacinth bracelets and they were very popular to the point that they all sold out. So I'm going to do a very similar technique. I'm just slightly changing up the design and I'm changing up the materials that we're using with them in terms of I'm just using seed beads and some lovely little pearls. Now you can see my earrings here are used with that similar design. I've even made myself a little ring this morning and I'm going to make the bracelets today, but you can see that you can use this pattern for anything, whether that be necklaces, earrings, rings, whatever you like. So we're just going to have a little play about today. You can use thread of any kind. I wouldn't use tiger tail, I would use like a beading thread. I'm going to use the nylon today and you'll get that in your kits. I'll put my board down on the table so it'll show up a little bit and hopefully we'll have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to say good morning to everybody and then I'm going to take you over to the website so you can see how we've put these together. You've got a really good offer today, so I think you make 4 in your kit. But there's also an offer if you want to multi-buy, and I would suggest mixing your colours because, well, they're little flowers, so they do look lovely when you've mixed them. So good morning to Debbie, hello to Kath, good morning to Rachel in a wet barrow. Jan says good morning from a bright and sunny Sudbury. Peace and love from Anastasia across the pond. Camille's in as well. She says, good morning, Natalie. A bit brighter here today. I hope you're well. I'm good, thank you. It's overcast. It's not raining and it doesn't feel too cold, but it is overcast today here. Ellie says, hi all, dull and grey here today in Kirby. Sorry I missed you all on Monday, but I'm caught up now. I hope you're well, Ellie. Thank you for joining us. I bet you do, Camille. Anne says, good morning. And Anastasia saying hello to everybody who is in the chat today. So drop me a comment. Where are you watching from? What have you been up to? How's your week going so far? And have you got anything planned for the weekend or the week ahead? I'm not going to be with you next week. I am having a little holiday, so I'm having a little break. I'm going to celebrate Samhain. I'm going to celebrate Halloween and a half term. So I'm very much looking forward to that, but I will miss you for the week. So when I do come back, though, I'm going to hit the ground running because I've got lots and lots and lots of things scheduled. I've nearly finished scheduling November, which is exciting. I like being a good month ahead, but we've got loads of lovely projects coming up for you. So I'm going to take you over to the website so you can see today is the Leilani flower bracelet. Leilani means heavenly garland or heavenly flowers, I think. So I thought this was quite a fitting name. So if you head over to totallybeads.co.uk, you can see we've got lots of lovely offers on for you today. So if you wanted to get any of those crystal rondelles, the original design when I did the hyacinth bracelet did have crystals in between with them as well. So you might want to add them in for an extra bit of sparkle. You can click on either of the video tutorial categories. It will take you into this lovely page here. And if you scroll down, you can see this is the Leilani flower bracelets. So I've got 4 lovely colours for you today. I've got a golden haze, a lemon, a pink and a purple. So I'm using seed beads and some lovely little pearls. I think they're 4mm pearls. So each of your kits are £5.99. And I think, as I'll double check, but I think you're making up to 4 bracelets with that, which is a real bargain. But we've also got 2 for £10 on as well. In terms of changing and adapting your colour, you could do a flower motif in each individual colour and swap that around. We've got little kind of separating clusters here, so you could use a different colour in between there instead and keep your flowers all the same. Or you could mix up your seed beads or your pearls. You could really change these up if you wanted, and you can also change up the design as well. So if you wanted, you could put this little kind of almost like a spacing cluster in between your flowers, and you could do that all the way through. Or I've done 3 little clusters of flowers together and you could do a full bracelet with just those kind of motifs running through it. So there's lots of different ways you can make this a little bit bespoke to you and change it up. As I say, it was a very popular design last time I did it, so I will show you some of the things we put together with that, so you can see how I've slightly changed that up. But I thought, although I know we're approaching the winter and these are very spring and summer like, they are very delicate, pretty little bracelets, which I think can be worn all year round. So I'll show you the Leilani flower bracelet in the golden haze. So in this one, I've got these lovely seed beads, which are your silver line topaz, and they are size 8, and I'm using a 4mm golden haze glass pearl rounds. So this is how I've mixed these up, and you can see how it looks when worn. In your kit, you're going to get enough to make. Don't know why there's an extra L in that make, but it should read makes 4 bracelets. And you're going to get all of your glass pearl round beads in there in the golden haze colour. You're going to get your Toho seed beads, your Nylon Line, and you're also going to get lobster clasp and jump rings. Now your jump rings you can attach through your seed bead, or if you wanted you could just hook them through the flower. So again, the different ways that you can attach your clasp with that as well. So making up 4 bracelets for £5.99, or you can get 2 kits for £10. Now if you really loved a particular colourway, you can get 2 of the same colour, so you know essentially would be making up 8 bracelets. You could make a necklace with this instead if you wanted to. You'll probably have a few bits and pieces left over, so you could again make like a ring or earrings, and I'll show you how I've put those together as well. So I'm just going to be having a play today. I'm not necessarily going to be showing you how to make the full piece. I will talk you through each section of that, and then you can assemble it as you want to. So this one here we've got is this lovely lemon. So we've got these lovely white seed beads for you. They're an opaque white size 8 seed bead, and we've got the lemon chiffon is the center. So this to me is very kind of daisy like. I am going to demo with this one for you I think today, but I might mix up the color of the pearl, so I might add some of those golden haze with the lemon chiffon as well. Again, you could change the colour of the pearl in this section or in this section. I'm using the nylon because it's got a nice stretch to it. I find it very forgiving to work with. It sits nicely, and also it's invisible. So where if I zoom in very closely, you can barely see that thread path running through because you've got those invisible kind of thread that brings it all together. Your findings do change colour as well. So for this colourway, you've got the gold with the one I've shown you before, which is the golden haze. I think you get the champagne. For this beautiful pink one, you're going to get the rose gold coloured findings, and then for the purple, I've put it on the silver, findings being your jump rings and your lobster clasp. So this is your pretty in pink. Again, you can see how this looks when it's worn. It does have a nice stretch to it. This design with this pattern will make an 8-inch bracelet. So you're making 4 8-inch bracelets. If, of course, you want to change that size, you can adjust that really easily by just, you know, doing less of those flower motifs or those little sections in between. There's 2 pictures there, but they're the same. So your colours for this one is your silver lined mauve, Toho size 8, and your ecru, which is I love the colour of this ecru. It really varies depending on what you put it with. It's got a kind of warm kind of it's not quite gold, it's not quite peach, it's not beige, but it completely depends what colour you put it with. Really changes the look of those glass pearls for you. So again, you've got that lovely pink Leilani flower colourway for you there. And then lastly, we've got the purple, which looks like this. You're getting everything you need to make 4 bracelets, all of your pearls, all of your seed beads, your nylon, your lobster clasp, and your jump ring. So we're using the wisteria purple coloured pearls and the silver lined tanzanite for this lovely make. So let me know which colours do you think would look nice together. Would you like, I mean, obviously the lemon and the white's going to go with anything and everything. I do think these would look lovely together. I think the golden haze and the pink would look lovely together. You could, if you wanted, get your 2 for 10 offer and get all 4 of them. That's entirely up to you. But to make as many bracelets as you are today, I think that's a really good price. So I will head back into the comments section and see what I've missed and how you all are doing. Susan as well from Holmes Chapel, she says it's sunny. Elaine is wishing everybody a good morning. Judith's in. Catherine's in as well. Hello to you, Catherine. Yeah, Rachel saying lei is the flower garland that you wear in Hawaii. I thought it was. Those lovely kind of garlands, aren't they? Good morning to Carol. Anastasia's asking, Natalie, I purchased the glass beads from Totally Beads and they had stuff on them and couldn't use them. What can I do about them? Contact the warehouse, Anastasia, and we will look into that for you. I'm not too sure what it is that it's got on them. They usually have a colour coating. The good thing about using a glass pearl is, you know, they are very kind of ethical in the sense that there's no animal products in there because they're glass and then they're coated in that lovely whatever colour you've chosen. So it could be that you've got a little bit of kind of like the paint kind of colouring on it, but I'm not too sure what it is. So if you can contact the warehouse, they'll sort it out for you, and we'll get to the bottom of that for you. They're really, really good at answering you very, very quickly. Ellie says she's off to Centre Parks for half term with the children and grandchildren. She'll be 60 years old on Halloween, and I can't wait to wear my very first Helter Skelter earrings. Oh, lovely, Ellie. Happy, happy birthday. I hope you have a wonderful time. Which Centre Parks are you going to? I've been to 2. I've been to the one in the Lake District and I've been to the Nottingham one as well. Oh, you're going to have so much fun. Imagine having your birthday on Halloween. That'd be amazing for me. I'm a Christmas baby, so I hope you have a wonderful birthday. And good morning to Angela. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'll take you down on the mat. I'll show you these bracelets and I'll show you what I based them off in terms of our hyacinth make. So when we did the hyacinth bracelet, this is just a small section of it. You can see I put the little flowers together and I'm using these same motifs that we did in sections of them too. I have also made a ring today with the colourway, so you can see how, if I take that off, you can see that nylon's got that lovely stretch, and it's really easy to do. I've just done my little motif and then just brought it back through, tied it in a little knot and kept bringing it through, so I think that's really, really cute. Hey Camille, nothing wrong with being a boring June baby. Isn't it nice to just be here? Doesn't matter when you arrived. I'll take one of my earrings out as well so you can have a little look at how they are. So all I've done is put those 2 little kind of motif sections together, made myself an earring wire, and I think they sit really pretty. So there's lots of things that you can do with making these little flower motifs. This is your golden haze colourway. So what I've done when I've put it together is I've started off with a flower. I've done one little section like this. I've done 3 flowers together, another little joining section, 3 flowers together. I've done this for the centre, so just 1 flower framed by those 2 sections, and then repeated that back down in the same order. So that's making an 8-inch bracelet. Of course, if you wanted, you could do a full bracelet just with them all next to each other, or you could do a bracelet where you've got them in between with those little sections. So you could do whatever you wanted with this. There's no right or wrong, and it's easy to adjust it to the size that you want. This is the lovely pink that we've got. We've got the lovely purple wisteria colourway. And the very pretty white daisy looking one as well. Now there's different ways you can attach your clasp as well. If you wanted, you can put it through the seed bead itself, and join it on that way, or you could just hook it in between your flower and have it sit that way. Good morning, Emmeline. How are you? Hi, Jane from Somerset. Ooh, lovely, Ellie. Oh, you're going to have a really good time. So there's different ways you can attach your clasp. Do whatever is easiest for you. So I'm going to pop my this board down because I think it will show my invisible thread a lot better and my seed beads. If I'm just down on a white cloth, it just disappears. Camille says the white is my favourite, but all the colours are nice. They do lend themselves to a nice mix. So you can see just having those together, you could easily, mix up which colour you wanted your flower. You could just mix up the pearl. You could just change the seed beads. You could alternate the colours of these sections. You could do whatever you want. So I'm going to take my nylon thread. Let's straighten that board up a little bit and scooch myself over. When I'm taking my nylon thread, I'm going to use about 1.5 meters of it. So I'm going to take it off my reel and I'm going to do one great big arm span like so. And then I'm going to do another. I always have some left over, but I think it's best to have more than less. You can add into this though quite easily, and I have done that before. When I've got it on my reel still, I just kind of wind it around my hand and I just give it a pull. And what that pull does is it stretches and conditions out my thread, but also gets rid of the kinks. What I do find is when you use the nylon, it often kind of curls up quite a lot because it's been on that spool. You can as well put it in a little bit of warm water and that can get the kinks out of it. But I tend to find a stretch is the quickest and easiest method. So I'm going to take, I won't take as much today because I'm not going to do the full bracelet, but I'm going to take a good arm span and I'm just going to trim that off and pop that up out of the way. So what you can do if you want to do your bracelet where you are attaching your jump ring for your clasp through the actual seed bead, what it might be worth doing is just getting a seed bead out and just threading that onto a jump ring, just to check it fits. It should do with no problem. And I will always try and put the jump rings on at the end, because you want to make sure it's clear for the thread path of that nylon. But you might just want a double check before you start. So I'm using the size 8 seed beads, and with any luck, they should just fit nicely onto there. But you don't have to attach it on if you don't want to at that stage, and you don't have to attach it to the bracelet in that way at all. As I say, you can just bring it through the flower. So I would make sure that I've got my seed bead that fits on. That's going to be the 4th seed bead that I put onto my thread. So I'm going to take one end. Hopefully you're going to be able to see this quite clear. Sometimes I colour the tips of it and I haven't done. You can use a needle with this as well if you want to, but I haven't today. I'm not going to. I did do some stitch bracelets and I finished those samples off yesterday, and I was using a needle with it. If you ever find that it doesn't quite get through the eye of your needle, depending on the size that you're using, you can always just flatten the end, a little bit of pressure, and then I find you can get that through and pull it, and it's nice and firm. So I'm going to start off putting 7 seed beads onto my thread. So I only need one end at the moment. Going to pour some out onto my desk. So I'm adding 7 seed beads onto my nylon thread, and then I'm just bringing both ends up together just so they will drop down into the middle like so. Hi Shirley, the jump rings that I'm using are a 1 millimeter gauge and the outer diameter 6 millimeter. You could use a different one if you wanted to. I just find them really sturdy. I'm using a size 8 seed bead, so it should fit through directly, but you can see you don't have to put it through the seed bead. You can just attach it on through the flower at the end if you wish. So I've added 7 seed beads on. I'm bringing up both ends of my nylon thread, and then I'm taking my first pearl. So I'm going to do a little mix of my colour and my pearls. I think I'm going to use the kind of lemon chiffon and the golden haze. I'll make the most of having those colours. So I'm bringing both ends together, and I'm taking my pearl and I'm sliding both ends up through the drill hole of the pearl in the same direction, like so, and then I'll bring them back down to the middle. So it's looking like this. So I've got 1 seed bead sitting in the centre, and I've got 3 either side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those ends that are coming out of the pearl, and I'm going to go on one side, take that just down the side of those 3 seed beads. So it's coming out from the bottom of the pearl, it's going round the back up, and it's just going through those 3. And I'll give it a little pull, but not away. And then I'll do the same on the other side. So the nylon thread that is coming out of here is going to go around through those seed beads, just those 3. It's not going back through the pearl, it's coming back out there. And then what will happen is I will have essentially created, if I can put it on the mat so you can see it, it looks a bit of a tangled, well, it doesn't look like much at the moment, but what should happen is as I pull on those threads, it should start to create a little flower around the pearl. And then what I will do is I will join that full flower together with another seed bead. So I'm going to take one end of my nylon thread and I'm going to pop a seed bead onto that. And then I'm going to take the other end and I'm going to go back in the opposite direction. So a bit like you would do with a right angle weave. So it's just going to go back through that way. And as again, I draw them together, that will close off to make my first little flower. Hi Yolanda, thank you for joining us. So that's how I'm going to start this pattern. And then I'm going to pop that here so you can see. So I've just formed this first one and then going to start doing this little section in between. If you want, you can add your jump ring on now. So if I'm going to add my jump ring, I want it onto that middle one. So I'm just going to open that jump ring up and I'm going to take my pliers and slide that on through. So you can put it directly through that jump ring through the seed bead if you want to, and then just close over. They are glass, your seed beads though, so you do need to be careful because they can be quite delicate. Okay, so then to get that little joining section, which you can do or you don't have to do, it's entirely up to you, I'm just going to pop 1 seed bead onto each end of my thread. Oh, put 2 on there. I'm going to put another seed bead onto the other side, like so. And then going to take both ends together and I'm going to take my next pearl. I think this time I'm going to use a different colour pearl, and that's going to go up through the pearl in the same direction and slide that down. So it's looking like this. And then I'm going to open out those threads again. So I'm going to add one seed bead onto one side and one seed bead onto the other side. Like so. And then to start my next flower, I'm going to take the seed bead onto one end of the thread and then take the other end of the thread back through the opposite direction and give that a little pull. So I've created this now. So this seed bead here, joining it together, will essentially just act as that first one there that we put the jump ring through. So I'm going to add another 3 seed beads onto one side. I'm going to add 3 seed beads onto the other side. I'm going to take both ends together and add on another pearl. So I'm going to go back to this lovely lemon chiffon colour. And then they're going to go up through that pearl in the same direction. Out the other side, and then I'm just going to pull that down. So that's going to make this next little loop. Now what sometimes I do is I'll gently pull on each side just to make sure that I know which side is going to go round so they've not crossed over. And I just hold it in between my fingers. I'm going to take this side which is on the right, and it's going to go down those 3 seed beads here and out the bottom. And then bring that round into a little loop. And then I'm just swapping over, taking the end on the other side, and that's going to go down those 3 seed beads here. Hopefully I'm going nice and slow so you can see what I'm doing. Then by pulling gently on those 2 ends, it should create this type of loop which will frame around that pearl, and then 1 seed bead onto one end and the other end back in the opposite direction just to close off that little flower. So you can repeat that if you want, having that little cluster in between each side, or you can do what I'm going to do now, which is just do the 3 flowers next to each other. Will straighten up as you go, and you could just do all the flowers to create little sections like that. Camille says use green seed beads for the 2 single beads and it would look like a proper flower. Oh, I've got some green seed beads somewhere. But I haven't put green in your colourway kit options, Camille, so you'd need to buy some extra. But I do have some here which are size 8s, so I might add them in a little while. Okay, so if you just want to do your flowers, it's just repeating that over and over. So I've already got that one there, which is joining. I'm going to add 3 seed beads onto one side. 3 onto the other. your Toho seed beads are fairly uniform in terms of their size and shape, so it will create nice little clusters. Bringing the two ends together and back through a pearl. They're both going up and through in the same direction. Oh. So I tend to just line them up and bring them out through the other end. And again, just pull taut. I'm going to take one side and I'm just going through those 3 seed beads on that side. And out next to the pearl to make that little loop. Hold that in my other hand to keep the loop out of the way. And then again, I'm just going to go down those 3 here. Give it a little pull. And then 1 seed bead to close it up. So going on one side and back through the other. Hello Zakia, how are you doing? Camille's giving me a big smile. Are you really impressed that I'm like, well, I just happen to have some size 8 green seed beads here? Because I was working on something else yesterday. So I had to recap what I was doing. You ever get into the stage where you make so many and like, I've made so many bracelets using like the same kind of stitch and the same thread path, and then I come back to doing this and I thought, I'm gonna have to have a practice because it's thrown me now. So I've got those 2 little clusters. I'm going to do another little flower. So 3 on one side. It's really easy. You get into a little repetition with it. It's just about playing about with where you want those flowers to be. So as I say, you could just do all the flowers all linking together, or you can have those little separating clusters in. So 3 seed beads onto each end, taking both ends together, adding on a pearl which goes onto both ends, and then I'm going to take one side back through those 3 seed beads and the other through the other 3. And I do find the nylon thread to be, I say, really forgiving. Don't get myself, I mean, I'm going to jinx it, aren't I now, but I don't tend to get it, I just jinxed it, don't tend to get it tangled up. And if it is, I can just readjust quite easily. So pulling them 2 down, holding on to those, give it a little pull. That will bring that bead into the centre. Thanks, Camille. I'm always impressed by you. Just winging it, Camille. Just don't tell anyone. Then one onto one side, and then taking that thread on the left, back through the seed bead, which is on the right end. Draw it together, and as you pull, you'll notice they all start to shape and sit. It looks a bit wibbly wobbly at the moment, but it does straighten out. A little bit of tension when it's on. So I've done my pattern as starting with one single flower, then a little separating cluster, 3 flowers together, another separating cluster, 3 flowers together, and then I've kind of got to the center of it where I've just got 1 flower in the middle, and then repeated that back down. But you can change it up and do as you wish. So if I'm going to do this little section again, I'd have 1 seed bead on each end. Is it easier if we put it this way and you can see it going that way round instead? Ooh. So 1 onto each end like so. Then the pearl once again is just going to go onto both ends in the same direction. I'll use that golden haze again, I think, this time. And then that should just sit in the middle. It will open up as I add the next one on. And then another seed bead onto each side. And then 1 seed bead to join them together by bringing, so this time I've put it onto the left one, and I'm just going to bring that right tail end through again to close it up, and just reposition and adjust like so. Well, thanks, Yolanda. It is very straightforward and very simple. As I say, the hyacinth bracelet was basically, you know, making these little flower clusters in exactly the same way. So you could always watch that tutorial back as well if you wanted. But I say those kits aren't available now, so I thought I'd put this together. Quite like to use maybe the purple wisteria pearls amongst this as well. I'm going to finish off, I think, with a flower, because all I'm doing is just repeating that pattern, and I'll let you, you know, decide how you want to. But we would be here for quite a little while watching me do the same thing if I was going to show you the full bracelet. So that's how I've put it together. 1 flower, link, 3, link, 3, link, 1, link, and then the same back down. So I'm going to finish off with the flower, and to do that I'm going to do exactly how I did at the beginning. So I'm going to add on my 3 seed beads, and if you want to, you can check that your jump ring again, your seed bead fits through the what would be the joining seed bead, if you want to do that in advance. So 3 seed beads onto each side. I'm going to bring those 2 ends up together, and I'm going to take my pearl, bringing them both up through the drill hole in the pearl. I think it's got a little bit of a blockage in it. Just give it a little wiggle. I'll pick a different pearl up. So sometimes the coating can just block it a little bit. So all I'm doing here is just to make sure that I'm bringing that side through. So here, if I give it a little pull, that's actually on the other side. So I'm just going to swap that over and that will help it all sit nice if it's not crossed. So the right hand side is going to go from below the pearl back around, going through those 3 seed beads here. And then I'm just going to swap my hand over and then take the left side, coming from the bottom of the pearl, and it's just going to go down and below those 3 seed beads there. Gentle pull together. We'll just start to frame my flower. And then I'm going to take my seed bead and I'm going to go from one direction and through the other. Now before I kind of tie off and close my bracelet, what you might want to do is you might want to pop your jump ring. If you're putting your jump ring through the seed bead, you might want to put the jump ring on first before you tie it off. And the only reason I would suggest that as an option would be if, for example, your jump ring did get a little bit tight and it did snap and break the seed bead. You don't want to have then, essentially lost your bracelet. You could, if this was to break, then just add that one bead back on before closing it off. So I'm just going to take my jump ring and I've opened it up and I'm just going to slide it through that one. Check it goes through. And it should do. But obviously you've got that nylon in there which has taken up a little bit of space. If you're just gentle with it, you should get that on, no problem. And then I'm just going to close that jump ring up by bringing those two ends together and then pull back down just to tighten it up. So I'm just going to follow my threads back through the seed beads. Because they're size 8 seed beads, you get this nylon thread through it loads if you need to. You can go back and forward through your thread path as you need. You can, if you want, pop a little needle on if you find that that's easier to guide it through. Because it's got like a nice stiffness to it, I find that you can just slide that on through pretty easily. So I'm just taking my thread on both sides, and as I pull it, this will tighten that flower up as well. And I'm just bringing it back in the direction that it's naturally traveling. So I'm taking this side and just bringing it round. And I'm going to take it to a point where they both meet, so they both come out at the same point, and then I can tie a little knot in them. So I'm taking that round that bottom joining one, and now you can see there that both ends are coming out of the same point. So if I give that a little tie now, that will tighten that flower. So I'm just going to do a little surgeon's knot with it. I'm going to cross one side over the other and bring it through and then tighten it down. You can just give it a little squish with your finger as well, and that will just pop your pearl inside. And then I'm going to take one side over the other and I'm going to bring it through the middle, not just once, but twice. Because it is slippy, so it can easily open up. So doing a surgeon's knot is just going to make sure, or a double knot is going to make sure that that's nice and tight, and you're not going to be able to see that knot really at all, because it will hide in between your seed beads and it's also invisible. And then what I would do is I would just take that thread, again, moving away from my knot before I cut it off. So you can travel that all the way around your bracelet if you wanted to. So I always kind of start off with like plenty of thread, really, because I want to make sure that I've got enough to handle. So I tend to do about 1.5 meters, and you're going to have loads in your kit because you're making 4 bracelets. So just move that away from the knot that you've created. You can again knot it again together if you want to travel that all the way down or just into your next flower cluster. Just make sure as you're doing it, it's not catching. So I've looped that round there, so I'm going to take that back out. What I mean by catching is you want to make sure it's not, wrapped around your make, it's just going through the beads. So I'm just taking it away from the knot in any which direction. It's gone through that jump ring, so I'll bring that back out. And then you can just come in with your cutters and trim nice and close, just to get rid of those ends. So you can see you can make those lovely links, you can make those lovely flowers, you can push the pearls up through the middle so they're sitting kind of, what would be the word? Outward is not the word I'm looking for, but you can see here, if I turn it to the angle, those pearls are kind of sitting on top of the flowers. You just position it how you want it. And you can do all sorts with it. You can make these really lovely bracelets by using those patterns and motifs. You could make a necklace with it if you wanted to do little sections. I've done the earrings there just using 2 of the little flowers. Jane says, very pretty. Personally, I have trouble using this type of nylon cord as it always twists. We'll try it on thread. You can definitely do this on thread if you want to, Jane. It will lend itself well to that as well. I like the nylon just because when I find that I'm threading, for a start, I have to use a needle with my thread. This I can position, and it will almost kind of form that kind of nail tip point with it, so I can get it in and out of my beads. Obviously, a kind of cotton thread will be a lot more fluid, so it won't, I'd have to use a needle with that. And I tend to find often, especially when I'm going back through thread paths, that I'll often put my needle through the thread and I'll get myself knotted and tangled. If this gets into a knot, which threads so easily can do, you see that knot that I've created there? Let me move this out so you can see. I find it really easy, there you go, to just undo it. Whereas if I've got that kind of fabric thread, once that knot is there or that tangle's there, I'll find it really tricky to kind of unpick, especially as it closes down. So I really, really like using the nylon. I think it sits nicely as well, and it's invisible. So, I mean, you can still do half hitch knots with it. You can see here I've just made a little ring. So all I've done is I've created, where's my little section gone that I've just done? I've made my little section, and instead of putting the jump rings on, I've just brought that nylon thread back through and then tied it off And it is really comfortable actually, especially on those sections which sit at the side of my finger. I think that's really cute. Camille says, join a bigger gem to the jump rings and you've got your ring again. Yeah, I don't know whether that would be too big, but you could attach, you could attach something between jump rings, or you could put a larger bead or a different bead, or a different coloured pearl actually might be nice to bring them together. Like that idea, Camille. So I just think it's a really nice technique that you can do lots of different things with. Thank you, Zaki. That's very kind of you. They say lovely creations, Natalie. So let me close this off, and then I'll show you the website again. So it is a slight variation on the hyacinth design that I did a little while back. This one's called the Leilani flower bracelets. And you can see here I've got 4 different designs for you to choose from. There's the golden haze, the lemon, the pink and the purple. Inside your kit for £5.99, you're making up to 4 bracelets. You're getting all of the materials you need to make 4, or you can get 2 for £10 if you wanted to make 4 of one colour, or you wanted to mix your colours. You could do whatever your little desires. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Ellie says very cute. I'm definitely gonna try this one. Do we get a sneak peek, says Shirley. I don't know what I've got that much like planned. I've got necklaces, I've got stretch bracelets, I've got wire crosses. I tell you what I will do, because I'm not going to be here with you next week, and I'll miss you. I'll show you what I haven't quite scheduled, but I've made all my samples up. Dead excited. And I couldn't find the crosses, could I, for you the other day? And now I've found them all. There's loads. I don't know how I've misplaced them. So some little sneaky peeks of what's to come. Let me take you back down on the mat then. So for your eyes debut view, I'm gonna do these with you in November. And they are really, really sweet and very, very pretty and really straightforward to make. You can see a couple of the colours that I'm showing you there. They're a bit bling, aren't they? They're very lovely. So these are what I'll be making with you soon. And I didn't show you because I couldn't find them. We've got these lovely little crosses coming up soon too, using the gorgeous crackle beads. They're very, 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 very pretty. Love these beads. And there's so many different colours to choose from. We've got some lovely kind of Christmas colours. We've got golds, we've got yellows, we've got kind of halfy halves. Little sneaky peek. So yeah, I've got loads planned for you over the next few weeks. So thank you for being with me. I'm going to wish you all the most wonderful Samhain, or happy Halloween, or happy harvest, whatever it is that you celebrate. If you can, go and enjoy a little bit of nature and walk in the leaves if you're in the UK and you get to enjoy the autumn. Thank you very much. And I hope you have a really lovely week next week. I'll miss you, but I'll see you on, I don't even know what date it is that I'm back. It's going to be the Monday, the 4th, I think it will be. Yeah, I'll be back with you on the 4th and the 6th. So have a lovely, lovely week, everyone. Thank you